How'd I do? Was that good enough? Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that the 2016 remake of The Jungle Book is no perfect movie. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the original Disney cartoon, in The Jungle Book, a boy named Mowgli, this time played by... I'm going to say his name is Neil Sefi, I apologize if I mispronounced that, is raised by a pack of wolves in the jungle ever since he was a little baby, until a tiger named Shere Khan, played by Idris Elba, threatens Mowgli's life because he doesn't want humans in the jungle. And Mowgli starts to question his place in the jungle and who he is as a person through the various animals he meets while his life is under attack. Now, when I was a kid, I loved the original Disney cartoon. It was definitely one of my favorite movies as a kid. And now that I'm older, I think a lot of it still holds up for what it is. The supporting characters are all very likable and funny, especially Phil Harris as Baloo. The songs were a lot of fun, they were catchy, they had nice lyrics, and the villains, Shere Khan and Kaa, were very fun villains to watch. But for me, the one thing about the cartoon that doesn't hold up in my opinion is Mowgli as a character. I don't know, even as a kid, I didn't really care for him as much as I did the other characters. And I think it's because we don't really get to see or learn that much about him in the cartoon. We never really see his childhood with the wolves for very long. He was a little bit too whiny, and we never really understood why he wanted to stay in the jungle. Especially when you have a bear, a panther, a snake, and a group of vultures all saying, "Hey, there's this tiger over there. He's gonna kill you, and you have no way in hell of making it out alive unless you go to the man village over there." But hey, we're not actually here to talk about the cartoon, we're here to talk about the reboot, so let's get started. So CGI is definitely a tool that is overused nowadays by filmmakers who just want to save time and money, but I think CGI is still a useful tool as long as they know how much detail the effects artists need to put in to make their designs as photorealistic as possible. And after seeing this movie, I think The Jungle Book could win the Best Visual Effects Oscar this upcoming year. Because not only did they have talking animals looking as believable as possible, you could see every hair, every muscle on these creatures, they have the same weight and speed as they would in real life. It looks just as stunning as the effects in the life of Pi, and the animation even makes smaller roles like Lupita Nyong'o as Raksha give more weight to the characters because you can see their emotions through the staging of the characters as well as their body language, which is pretty hard to do with animals. Even smaller things like mountains and fields look as if they were shot on location and not on a green screen. The kid who plays Mowgli, I'm gonna stop trying to say his name, I already know I got it wrong. He did a considerably good job for his debut performance, even though I thought a few of his line reads were a little awkward and kind of forced. In my opinion, Bill Murray's the perfect choice to play Baloo, and he makes the role his own by bringing in his usual egotistical side from movies like Kingpin, but he still has a believable friendship with Mowgli, and that's because he encourages Mowgli to use his ingenuity, use items like vines and sticks in order to get things that they need, even if it's for purely selfish reasons like stealing honey. And on top of that, Baloo can climb up stuff, he can defend himself when he needs to, and he is willing to defend others if he really cares about them. When I first saw Shere Khan in this movie, my heart was pounding. And not only because of how good his design was, but Idris Elba does a fantastic voiceover performance by making this character not only very intimidating, but also very manipulative. He's able to take the jungle law, as well as his own experiences fighting off humans, and he tries to use them in a way to turn everyone against Mowgli, and he was a lot of fun to watch. And even though she's not in the movie as much as I wanted her to, when Scarlett Johansson shows up as Kaa, her design and her seductive voice work made me shiver. It was so fun to watch, guys. It was just creepy. But for me, my favorite part of The Jungle Book is how they actually explore the jungle itself. The jungle law, which animals have the highest amount of power, things like that really play a large part in this movie. And we see that Mowgli isn't really frowned upon because he's a man-cub, but because he actually has some advanced skills that some of the other animals don't have. He can walk on 2 feet, he can climb up trees and swing on vines, which some animals can't do, And he uses these makeshift tricks, as they like to call, which are really just tools that he makes up in order to achieve goals, like this bucket that he makes in order to get water without using his hands and mouth. Even though other animals, like Bagheera, who's very well played by Ben Kingsley, by the way, want him to use his hands and mouth in order to fit in amongst them. And that's the most fascinating part of the movie for me, is Mowgli finding his independence, looking for a way to live among the jungle animals without having to abide by most of their rules. There's this one scene where he helps an elephant herd with his tools, and there's no dialogue in the scene, but you can see that they are gracious for him and they acknowledge how useful his skills are and that he doesn't have to abide by a lot of the rules that they've made up. My only real problem with this version of the Jungle Book is that there are a couple of moments in this movie that feel as if they were only in the movie just because it was in the original cartoon, particularly Christopher Walken as King Louie. Now, don't get me wrong, King Louie was very intimidating in this version due to his giant appearance, and Christopher Walken actually does kind of sound like the original voice actor, but if you were to cut these scenes from this movie, nothing would really change. In fact, these scenes, in my opinion, should have been cut out in order to show us a little bit more of the jungle law. Plus, they try to fit in I Wanna Be Like You in this version of the movie, and when it happened, I just looked at the screen and went, this doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. Why did you put this in? And if you're going to say, oh, well, they put Bare Necessities in this movie too. Yeah, I know, but it didn't feel forced to me in any way. Because when Baloo and Mowgli were singing Bare Necessities, they were playing around with each other, they were saying some of the lyrics instead of singing it, and it felt very natural to me. With I Wanna Be Like You, they don't even build it up. It just comes out of nowhere, and it feels a little more theatrical as opposed to the rest of the movie, which feels a lot more gritty and realistic. And this moment just felt out of place and didn't really need to be in the movie. So all in all, if you're looking for a version of the Jungle Book that is a little bit darker in tone and actually does explore the law of the jungle and the atmosphere, I think you're going to have a really good time with this one, because the darker tone, the incredibly photorealistic special effects, the voice acting, and the overall themes, I just think really work in this movie. And for that reason, I'm going to give The Jungle Book 4.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out this collaboration video that I made with Nick from the Cinematics as we talk about Captain America: The First Avenger. Check in the description below, there should be a link down there. Thank you everybody for watching, take care.